Are you looking for an athletic scholarship? You're in the right place. This is the Recruit Me Athletic Scholarship Podcast, the longest running podcast on recruiting and athletic scholarships. We're here to help your family navigate the recruiting road all the way to an athletic scholarship. He's a recruiting expert and a dad of 2 college athletes. He has a wealth of experience to share. Here's Recruit Me CEO, Brent Hanks.
Welcome to episode 353 of the Athletic Scholarship Podcast. The Athletic Scholarship Podcast is a weekly 15-minute recruiting education podcast that is part of Recruit Me and recruit-me.com. My name is Brent Hanks, and I'm the owner and CEO of Recruit Me and the host of the Athletic Scholarship Podcast. Last week's episode, 352, I introduced you to Coach Randy Stange. Randy is an old friend from my college days and is currently the head coach for the men's basketball team at Sterling College, an NAIA school in Sterling, Kansas. Go back and listen to that episode and get Coach Stange's background, lessons, and opportunities that a college student-athlete can get, and an introduction to recruiting at Sterling College. Follow the Athletic Scholarship Podcast on your favorite podcast app or go to recruit-me.com website. Now, let's get into the middle of the interview with Coach Randy Stange. While we're talking about Sterling, where is it? What level of play are you at, and what conference are you?
Yeah, this is great. We're in the NAIA. I have the utmost respect for the teams in our league and the job that the coaches do. It's a real competitive college level. I mean, I can tell you that. So,
other than the great coaching that is there at Sterling basketball, what are some of the other advantages of the academics and the athletics?
Yeah,
there?
Really, it's a solid school. There's probably more emphasis at this school than I would say really any school for sure that I've been at. But even in our conference, I think we're probably leading the way on, I would call it the spiritual side. And we have chapel here twice a week. Every Wednesday, every Thursday. Students get credit for going to chapel. And, they've brought in some fantastic speakers. I've missed a few of them, but not many. They're really inspiring. And I think from the faculty, really from the president on down, you just have an aspect of that spiritual side, which some schools don't worry about that. Some schools, it's a bigger deal. And not only you being physically, mentally, and emotionally prepared, but also spiritually. And I would tell you that has had a huge impact, not only our basketball, but just our whole student body in general. That's a little bit different managed than some people want. But if you want that, it's a huge deal here. And I think even the people that have not thought that was a big deal have benefited from it because it just has an impact on your whole life, and I don't think you can put a price on the value of what that means here. I know what that has meant to guys on our team, how they've grown. And, I feel like I'm a part of that and I want to be a part of that. So that's a little bit different than I would say than some of the schools in our conference. A little bit different than any Division I program that I've been a part of, or even the JUCO schools, which is totally different than that. And I think there's an aspect of growth there that you can't put a price on.
How many students are at Sterling College?
Yeah, it's a little less than 800, but right around that.
And probably what percentage are our student athletes?
Most of them are.
Yeah.
The one thing that I like about Sterling that there's many things I like about, but last Saturday we had an event that's tabbed. We call it Love Sterling. And so my team, I had 24 guys off of my team, and we partnered up in 2 teams of 12, but we went to 4 different places. We went to a church and helped them clean and move stuff from storage, needed that. And so we all pitched in and did that. Then we went to 4 different houses and did things that like wash windows, painting, rock garden that needed to be cleaned out. We cleared brush. I mean, just to try to serve people in the community. Most of these were older variety citizens that could never have done the work that we were able to do. And we do that for free. We do it just as a community service. Community greatly appreciates it. It beautifies. It's just a win-win for everybody. It's great for us as a team and our guys to see that service aspect. And I think my approach as a coach has got to be, we're doing this to serve and not just be served. And I think that mindset, I hope it never leaves them.
Randy, what are some of the best ways a student athlete, whether they're a high school, JUCO, or maybe even a transfer, how do they get a hold of you and how can they get your attention? What's a good way to get on your radar?
That's a great question because I have I'm inundated with different players and, high school coaches, parents, and kids who are trying to find something. I will say this. I try to watch every one. I don't respond to every one of those that come in because I would tell you this, like today, I maybe have 6 already this morning, and there's no way I would spend all my time responding to it. I don't respond to every one of them, but I do try to watch it. Either I'll watch it or I'll have my assistant watch it, just so we have had nothing slips by us. What we're running, this is going to be a long answer, but I'll try to keep it short. We run offensively manage something called, I got from Tech, something called the triangle. Norm Stewart ran it too at Mizzou. He called it the triple post. I have run that on the last 2 or 3 teams that I've coached. And the triangle offense does a couple things that I love. When I'm recruiting, I can recruit to the spots that I'm looking for. It's not really a secret because I need guys that can shoot, that can pass, that can make a play if they need to as the clock's rolling down. But I look for those specific kind of certain little things on a film. It's true, everybody sends out their best 5 minutes of their career on the film, which is good, but I'm looking for specific things when I'm looking at that film. And when I look at it, if I see it, that guy he gets on my radar. And I would think in this interview, you say, okay, well, what are those specific things? They change.
Right.
I mean, I'm looking for a guy this year, and this year's unique. And I say that because of this. Our big guys, for the most part, are in place for the next 2 or 3 years, which is unusual because you almost always look for size. But we right now are needing guard. And I'm not talking about guards that just can get it up the floor or make a 3. I'm looking for specific things that are in combination. So I shoot the 3 really well, but I put it on the floor really well. I can make a shot. I can finish a play. And more than just making 3s, that I think the majority of the films that I'm watching when I see a film is a guy that's shooting 3s. So, hey, I'm glad you can make a 3, but I need the combination of I can make a 3, I can put it on the floor and make a shot. You've got to honor both of those things when you guard me. That is a huge part of what I'm looking for. And then I would add to that, once I go by you, I'm making a play for someone else or myself. That's the key. That's the real key, because in the triangle, the floor is always space. Whether you run it very well or not, if you're in the right space, the right spot, the floor is always space, which gives me the opportunity to make a play or shoot an open shot or make a play that I finish. And when I do that, we're rebounding that ball. We're rebounding that miss, because I'm only going to make, if I'm a really good player, I'm only going to make 50% of those. If I'm a great player, I'm going to make 60% of them.
If somebody were talking about Sterling College and they asked me about it, I would say send your highlight and then follow up and ask Coach Stange.
Yep.
What else can I send you that will fit your that will fit your program, that will fit your style of play? Because like you said, a lot of times style of play, you may be the greatest 3-point shooter, but if you can't play a lick of defense or don't like to go set a pick for somebody, you're not going to fit.
That's exactly right. I also like to manage, but this is kind of a spoon hour thing, but it's true for me too. I like to know the coach that they're playing for, and it's a huge benefit for the kid, for the player, if I know that coach and how they play. That's a big, I may not know the coach personally, but I'm going to know how he plays. And so I'm looking for a young player that's been coached and been made to work hard, to toe the line, to where it hasn't been comfortable for that kid. And what I mean by that is that coach is making them play defense. That coach is making them work. And usually, typically, those guys come in money ahead, and those are the guys that are playing for me because they know what it's like to win. And that there's no secret to that. Versus a guy that can just make a shot, but his coach just lets him play. I'm going to look at how that coach plays. Defensively, are they guarding? Are they making it difficult for you to score? Is there effort? That's more valuable to me than making a shot, truthfully.
Right. What you've been at a lot of levels of college athletics. You've been in Division I, NAIA, JUCO.
Yeah.
How are they different, and what are some advantages of each one of them?
They're really marked different. I mean, I would say this is the hardest level for me in terms of putting my team together. But there's opportunities here too, though. It's just a little bit different because every player, including me, every player wants to know, what am I going to get? How much am I going to get? And what's the bottom line? And so we start with that at this level, where you don't start with that at the Division I level, really, or even at the JUCO level. That's pretty well defined for you before you start. Here, I'm packaging things together. Okay, I got this. Can you do it for this? Meaning, you're going to owe this. Is that enough to cover it so you can come here? And eventually, it gets down to I can't give you any more. This is all I got. And then it's up to you to decide whether you want to do it or not. A lot of times, this is true about us. It's true about Sterling. We have a JV program. I have this year too, where guys play JV and it struggle because it's different coming into college than it is in high school. I call our JV program, I don't call it the JV team. I call it the JUCO team, because you're going to play JUCO.
Right.
You're going to play community college. And my theory and my philosophy on it is college basketball is faster and more physical than really any high school. The game is faster and more physical. So I like playing guys at that level, I call it the JUCO level. And I think it gives them a chance to get used to it and play with it and learn how to manage their game. And what's hard about it, and I've got a couple kids like this year, where they've played and they're like, yeah, they've gotten over that hump, but it was hard for them. And they decide, no, I'm just going to go to school.
Yep.
I don't want to play. And that's a part of this. But I would say the guys that stick that out and have figured out how to play at that level really excel at when they play for me. And I call it the other team, the KCAC team. Everybody else calls it varsity, because that's where I'm going to need you to play. Right. And the guys that are playing and that have decided not to play have sat down with me, and I've told them, you've already passed the test. You're there. I mean, I'm counting on you. And so I've got both ends of that. Guys that are getting ready to roll on that. I'm ready to go. And then I've got guys that say, no, I just want to go to school. So that part of it's difficult for me, but that's part of it. So.
Well, and I challenged both of my boys to give it 2 years.
Exactly what you do.
You know, and give it your freshman, sophomore year, and then kind of make a decision, because your freshman year, you're playing against 23-year-old.
You're exactly right. And there is. I've tried that too. I tried to convince them to say, I think it's probably premature. I know it was for me. So don't jump at conclusions here, because I had the same thing in my life too. Yeah. It's hard. But
what does a basketball coach at Sterling, what are you doing right now? What kind of things are you doing for your team and your program?
A lot of recruiting. There is some fundraising that we're trying to do, because the more money we raise, the better it is for us in terms of gear and just trips, those kind of things. I say right now, recruiting is the number one thing. And we've got kids coming in today and tomorrow and Saturday and Friday, and they were in all last week. And yeah, we'll just see how it plays out.
So what would one or two pieces of recruiting advice, what would you give to a student athlete or a parent that's listening to this if they wanted to play college basketball?
Everybody's different. I think the biggest thing for me is to find a common denominator, whether that's the coach or you or somebody that I know. I'm a little bit leery, but only because I've been a parent. My kid's the best and my kid can make it. And I listen more to the coach probably than I do the parent. And I would say, not that I don't listen to the parent, but I like to have a common denominator, though, for me, that just somebody that I know. I'll ask the more pointed questions to that person, because I really want to get down to it and not waste your time or money. So for me, that's more valuable than even a film that you can send. I just can get right to it with that person. I'm not going to get right to it with that parent, because I'm going to get the patent answer of he can do that. And believe me when I tell you this, and I'm recruiting these guys too, they all know I'll work harder. I'll work harder than anybody else. I can do that. But I want somebody that objectively can say, yeah, he can do that, but you're going to have to coach him. But when you do, he'll be able to handle that. That to me is the most valuable thing. And even if I don't know the coach, it really gets that player in there if there's that common denominator that we have somebody that I know and trust. So
I did a podcast recently kind of talking about how a student athlete should build a team, and kind of talked about high school coaches and club coaches. Do you talk to both of those, and yeah, how do you look at them differently on how they see their player?
I really do talk to them. It is a little bit risky for me, because in the same way that a parent may push a kid, I think that's true. But I will tell you this, that can be a common denominator for me very easily. Every kid's different, and depends on what I'm looking for. At times, I don't know those guys as well as I would the high school coach. And I say this in fairness to those high school coaches. I think there's a little different level of coaching than there is on the AAU or the MAYB or the whatever circuit you want to find. And so I would probably put as much or more stock in the high school coach because he's on that kid. And especially if he's playing a way that I'm looking for. And that's a big deal for me. That's as big a deal for me as it is ability, because you're going to get coached when you come here. It's not going to be roll the balls out and let's hope you figure this out. You're going to get coaching, and the kids that haven't received coaching, they're going to struggle for a while. It's not going to be anything personal. It's just the Mr. Iba, this is what I want. Give me what I want, because what I want wins, and you may struggle to give me what I want. I know that I've had this happen with me from players. You're taking away my game. Well, that may be true to an extent. And I'll tell the player, you're right, but give me what I want first, and then we'll expand that into your game being, I've got to be able to trust you. That's where I'm going with it. I got to be able to trust you when I put you out here.
Well, there are 5 guys out on the floor. And,
yes.
And you got to mesh with all of them. And I think one of the biggest things I learned with Missouri State and Coach Spoonhour and the coaching staff was we didn't always have the best 5 scorers out there because there wasn't enough basketballs for those guys. We had to have a guy that could dribble and a guy that could rebound and a guy that could play defense. And
he was a master at that. He was a master at communicating your role and then playing to that, playing to your strength.
Well, Randy, you've got some guys coming in. We're going to let you go, and I appreciate the time. And we kind of scratched the surface, so there's a lot of other questions that kind of came up. So we may have to have you back sometime and see if we can see how you did at the end of the summer and see how many big 7-footers you got or little guards. You need little guards, don't you?
I'm not worried about those 7-footers. I want a guy that can break the defense down. So yeah, I appreciate it. Manny, you have a real insight on this, and that's a huge value to somebody that doesn't, because most people don't. Most people don't have a clue. And I would say the level that you're looking for, if you're at a high level, they will find you. It makes no difference where you're being, and they're going to find you if you're good. If you, though, this is my level, if you're needing that a little bit more coaching and a little bit more polish, and then people will find you there too. So college athletics right now is so crazy. You just have to get in and have some success, and then you can actually move to different places. And I've got a couple guys like that on my team right now. That are moving to a better place, and I feel like that's a real plus for our program. I'm not afraid for that to happen.
You get them in, and you prove to them that they can play, and then they have a chance to in their eyes better themselves, and hopefully they will better themselves.
That's right. So, Manage, I appreciate it, and we'll do it again.
Thank you very much. We'll do it again, and we'll come and see you when you play Evangel.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Randy.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thank you to Coach Randy Stange for his time and insight on college athletics, recruiting, and Sterling College. Click on the Sterling link in the show notes for more information about the college and their athletics. The great thing about all the interviews is that the information that you get is not just sports specific, but can help you no matter what sport or level you are wanting to play. Join me next Tuesday for an episode that discusses AI, artificial intelligence, and how it helps and verifies your recruitment and the effective steps in your recruitment. Thank you for listening, and please share these episodes with another student athlete or family. See you next week.